And down below we have a smartly turned out group of bathers.
Yes, dressed to get wet.
Yes. And you swam most months of the year, or just in the summer?
No, just in
the summer.
Yes.
You have included
here's
here...
a picture of old Chief Julius from Sliammon and his wife, and they would be peddling fish and selling them. Also Indian baskets they used to bring around and sell.
What a wonderful thing that would be to have an Indian basket.
Note the dugout canoe, the classical Indian shape.
And were there many of them? Did you?
Oh yes, they all used them in those days.
Well, I've marked out some photographs here. I couldn't resist having you comment on the one.
What is it? The Daily something or other. We used to get papers sent out from England from the family.
All the way from London, from England over to Savary Island.
The Daily Mirror we got, and also Punch was sent out. Never missed an issue of Punch. I see it nowadays, and I don't think it's funny anymore. Probably it never was, but anyway, I was brought up on it. And this was taken by my father at their request.
Perfect English, little Lord Fauntleroy, almost, without the locks.
Right, to show them how well I was coming along. And they'd given Dad the camera in England on the understanding that he would keep sending photographs of me. I was the only one of that generation. That's why they couldn't afford to have me born in the colonies. So after a few years, Dad gave me the camera, and in 1920 I started taking pictures, and I still have all my negatives going back to then.
It's thanks to that camera that we have many of the photographs in here.
That's right.
And, well, of course, this is a wonderful picture, I think, of the beach here at Savary.
Yes, and that's one reason why if you have a boat, small boat, you do not spend the night at Savary, because in the fine weather that wind comes up and
it's pretty bouncy.
Most unpleasant. I would usually have to pull out in midnight and go over to Lund.
You did a lot of logging. You're involved in logging. We know that's where you got your LDE, and there's some interesting photographs about your logging days here. And you also, during that period, had a house built. At least your family built a regular house. And that must have been a delight.
That was 1924. We'd spent 10 years in the old tent, and a friend of ours had bought these two lots right at the end of the wharf, and in 1924 I came back from the logging camps with a little money. Actually, I'd saved about $1,000, so I gave half of it to Dad, and I worked with him that year, and we built this house, which is still there.
Is it really?
Yeah. And I saw it the other day. Terrific. It's in good shape. That's the year it was built.
Well, a well-known feature of Savary Island for years was the Royal Savary Hotel, and here you have a photograph of it.
Yes, that was taken. This photograph was taken during the construction of it in 1927. We first of all, Dad and I built the road. Well, we hired a crew. We had no machinery. We built the road from the wharf up to the other end of the island, and we got $1,000 a mile to build it under contract, and it's 4 7/8 miles long, and that tells you how much money we got for the whole job. And once the road was built, then they could go ahead and build the hotel up at Indian Point. This is the Royal Savary Hotel.
And the Royal Savary was a well-known feature, as I was saying, of Savary for many years, but it was torn down eventually. When was that? Do you know?
It's in the last 3 or 4 years, I think, or maybe 5 years now, but it wouldn't meet building standards, and it would have cost too much. So they had no choice, get rid of it and sell the lots. It was a landmark.
Well, we go on here to some of the other sort of pastimes of Savary Island, where you learned to play golf and play very well. There's a photograph there. How do you play golf in Savary Island?
Well,
or how did you?
Mainly on the beach, and that was one of the attractions of the Royal Savary Hotel over on the other side of the point, at low tide, mind you. There were many acres of flat, hard sand, And they organized daily golf games there. My mother was very keen on golf. Personally, I never got around to playing it properly, although as a kid, I found a club on the beach that somebody had left by accident. It turned out to be a putter, and it was left-handed, but by using it right-handed, I found it made a very good driver. So later on, when I did play a little golf, like on Hawaii and so on, all I would rent would be one club, a putter.
It was all thanks to your Savary Island upbringing. Delightful. Do they still play golf on the sand, do you think, at Savary Island?
Sure they do, sure.
Well, you were involved in logging, and but here's beachcombing during the Depression.
Yes.
Looks like you were...
We did have a tractor. We bought this tractor when Dad got a little money from England, and that tractor was very useful. And as you can see, we're pulling logs off the beach.
Well, there's so many fascinating photographs, it's hard to say which, but this one on the lower one is such a glamorous-looking photograph there that one has to just...
That's because it's Butte Inlet, and Butte Inlet is a beautiful... That's the... those peaks in the background are over 8,000 feet high. But that was the first boat I really owned. After I got started in the radio business, I became impatient just waiting for customers to come. So I thought if I got a boat, I could go out and chase customers, which is what I did. And then I left Savary, really, and I moved aboard the boat, and I lived on the boat for 10 years, just going up and down the coast, fixing and selling radios. Then the war came along and I got an airplane. But anyway, that was
another book, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But that's that boat that you lived on for 10 years. Well, the coast was magnificent, and we have also a picture of another boat here that has a bit of a story to it.
Well,
the Lady Cecilia.
The good old Union steamship. Almost without fail, Christmas Eve, one or the other of the boats would get into a spot of trouble because, they had the odd drink around Christmas Eve. And quite a number of them ended up on the beach. This one was quite spectacular at Pender Harbor, and that was taken on the day that my son was born in Pender Harbor Hospital. And I'd gone over to Irvin's Landing to send a telegram to my dad to say 8.5-pound son born. And while we were tied at the wharf there, the Lady Cecilia backed away and got the engine room bells mixed up, backed onto Indian Island, and
sort of found her there
hence the photograph.
Well, Jim, there's so many other photographs to look at and talk about, but our time is coming to a conclusion. What's ahead for Jim Spilsbury? Another project?
Well, apparently there's another project coming along. As you'll notice from the book, there are a number of my paintings were used as cover pictures. I have painted all my life in pastels just to keep my mind off business. And a lot of people have said, why don't I put out a book with nothing but paintings? And that's what I'm working towards now. I'm supposed to be painting now instead of talking to you. And the title of this book, if and when we get around to putting it out, will be Spilsbury's Coast of Many Colors.
Well, thank you very much, Jim Spilsbury. We'll look forward to having a look at it, and thank you for your time. What a pleasure it's been to talk to Jim Spilsbury and hear some of his many reminiscences. You'll want to read and take a look at his latest book, Spilsbury's Album. It's a delight. Well, Jim, we wish you all the best in your future projects. This has been Neighbours. I'm Olga Ruskin.